I mean, you you know why we're here. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Also, please ring off. Let me know what you thought about Ghostbusters Afterlife in the comments below. I just got back from seeing it. I'm a little late. I went to see it Wednesday when everybody else was doing the first previews, but such is life. Just got back, and I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed myself with this film. I could not stop smiling. It is a movie that I think, for me, when it ends, it happens rarely, but I just had that feeling of warmth inside. It's an indescribable feeling. If it's ever happened to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that feeling of just heart and warmth and everything, it just sort of overtakes you. That's what I got after watching this film. Be perfectly honest, obviously with the shirt, I've got stuff, these figures behind me. I am a Ghostbusters fan, so I do not fit into this. Sometimes my critical brain may be taken out a little bit because this is my fanship. I grew up on this. I grew up on an animated show. I grew up on Extreme Ghostbusters, the games. I had proton packs. I had all kinds of stuff. So this is my world, and I think for the first time in a very long time, this film made me feel the heart, hope, and excitement it was to be a Ghostbusters fan when I was a kid, again now as an adult. The movie is chock full of nostalgia, and I know a lot of critics have been ripping this one apart because it's nostalgic based. It relies a lot on previous knowledge. A lot of the jokes are set up in a previous film to get here, but not really. It's more so for the third act of that. But most of this is built and stapled on McKenna Grace's performance as Phoebe Spangler. She kills it. Her quirkiness, her oddness feels very much like how Young would be when he was young. Her jokes that she delivers them so deadpanly, and just her mannerisms. She makes this worth the price to kind of just go on with this ride and go through this, re-enter this world with her. I think that's the whole purpose of this movie, and I think that's what a lot of people are missing. It's probably why it doesn't have a 3 necessarily on it. It's sort of reintroducing Ghostbusters to the world. Yes, I know that there was a film a few years back that the ladies did, that Paul Feig did. It just didn't feel like the Ghostbusters DNA for a lot of people. I am one of them. There's a lot that I just did not like about that film. Mostly the tone. I just think it was too much different styles of comedy put into one film, and it just didn't know what it wanted to do. This feels like the first time that we're kind of going back to the world that we kind of got before, but through a different sort of lens. This doesn't really feel. It feels very much in the DNA and in the world of the Ghostbusters, but it feels very much like almost an Amblin picture, or I got a lot of Back to the Future vibes on the back end of this for some reason. Just the adventure that we're kind of going, the car chase sequence, the final act, and how it extends out and goes beyond and becomes something more, feels like it's a bigger thing. What would be the next progression of Ghostbusters, and very much so. What if a director other than first Reitman, Ivan Reitman, taking it? What if someone else took the reins of Ghostbusters? What would they come up with? And this is what sort of I think we got, but still living in the world that was already created. I think that's the issue with the Paul Feig one, is bigger than the comedy not working. It also is just having no connection, sort of soured the taste of diehard Ghostbusters fans, because we're like we've been craving for a sequel to those films for so long that when you came out with this and it one wasn't as good for us, but then also didn't connect. Kind of like, well, then we got nothing with that. So this one feels like the first time sort of at bat. I think the kids are great. I think we get Paul Rudd. He's got his moments. He's doing his Paul Ruddness, his charming, disarming shtick, if you will. We do sort of go through the recreation of kind of the first film and how things are set up, but it sort of builds upon that lore. It creates the lore out a little bit more and puts this into a younger audience, an audience that can kind of relate to it, and hopefully go back to watch some of the originals after they see this. I think one of the biggest things is this film sort of acts as a love letter nod and a sign off to Harold. And I'm not going to spoil this movie, just as a heads up. I'm going to do my best to not spoil this film. I'm not going to give. I want the folks who are going in with shirts like this, or going in with proton packs on, or have these behind them. I'm not ruining this for you. If you haven't seen it, you should go see it. So I'm not doing that. But I will say that the movie does a good job of giving a sign off to Harold and staying all the way through everything, credits and all, gives a little bit of a nod and a sign of importance to, or a comeuppance to all the other Ghostbusters, all the old school folks as well. But the kids are really good, specifically Mckenna Grace and Podcast. The two of them together, Phoebe and Podcast work really well together. But I think what made my heart smile is that there are sequences in this movie that remind me of what I used to do when I was playing with my Ghostbusters Ecto-1 and all that stuff. There's a fantastic chase sequence through a small town. There's a pretty cool sequence at the very end of this. Stuff that they just did not or could not do financially with the first couple of films. It was a very straightforward, we're doing this, blasting and coming away. This has stuff on the move, more stuff that I think every person who's had these type of shirts and this type of energy towards Ghostbusters has always sort of felt like we can do more with this world. And I think this movie does a damn good job of taking the cards that they were dealt, putting them together in a little gumbo soup, put a little bit of Amblin in there, and make it so that if this is to continue on, which I think it should, but if this is to continue on, we now have already passed the torch. The keys have been handed off. Not necessarily to just the team here. You'll see what I'm saying when you watch it. Not necessarily to the folks that are here, but it is just saying that, hey, this is a brand that can continue on. And if other people want to play in these yards, similar like how Star Wars or Marvel has different directors come in and take on the next chapter, I think that is what we can do with the future Ghostbusters from this point on. We've pulled it up into the present day. We've had fun with it. We've said our goodbyes to the folks that we need to say our goodbyes to. We've updated it with some cool effects and some cool things. That gunner sequence, that gunner seat is badass. To the point that Phoebe becomes so good at it during the back end of the film, you're like, yo, she is a badass. And I want to hang out with her all the time. But I think the other issue is when you start doing kids, especially at the age that Mckenna and Finn are, it is going to be difficult to track their ages. By the time another one of these comes out, McKenna's going to be a lot bigger, especially since this film got delayed. So she's already older than she was when she filmed it. It's just going to be a little hard to kind of keep that. But I do think you're going to have Spangler on there. She should stick around. But I think we've definitely put the Ghostbusters back on the map with this, and now we're kind of got free reign to do whatever you want to in the future. If you want to do with a director, I think now, this is going to sound terrible, but I think now would be a good time if you wanted to bring the ladies back and put them in that world, you could. I just think the audience of the Ghostbusters needed to kind of get that closure with that original team and get that original stuff put together and put this together, this heartfelt, feel-good film that, for me, it was a damn good time, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed them speaking to me. I know people would be like, oh, it was nostalgia based and all this. Same with like our Force Awakens. I don't mind that for the film that is the first one back after a long gap. Now, if they ever do this again, they're gonna have to change up the things. They're gonna have to flip it up. They're gonna do some crazy things. Go to, I know original Aykroyd scripts had them in the underworld. The video game had them going to another world. Do some crazy stuff like the Extreme Ghostbusters had like a salesman that came door to door and granted you whatever thing you wanted to be, and your life would just be turned. Like, you're going to have to get into some heady stuff and do some crazy things. But for this film to bring it up and to go young and to blend everything together, I think was the pitch perfect way to do this, and to sort of give a love note to all us Ghostbusters fans who have been waiting and craving for a sense of, or a glimmer of what we used to have or what we used to think with those original two films. I think if you are a fan of Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2, I don't see that there being a way that you walk away from this film without having a smile on your face. I think if those movies don't mean that much to you, or if you're being overly critical about remember berries and nostalgia, I think this might it might rub you, or it might just be okay. It might not be as much as it is for you, but for the fans, the diehards, this movie hits all the notes that I think you're gonna want to hit, and you get that warm, fuzzy feeling that you can't quite describe, but you know it when you got it. So on my scale of play it again, Sam, hey, I didn't mind that. Once was enough, or give me a time stone so I never have to think about this film again. This is a play it again, Sam. The second this movie comes out on Blu-ray, I'm buying it. It looks gorgeous. It looks stunning. And I'm watching them back to back to back, like all three of them together, because I now love this world. And I genuinely say this. I really do hope that other people come and play in the sandbox of Ghostbusters, and this now starts to be something. Because I think they've been trying to get that Ghost Corp. They had the Ghost Corp logo at the top. They've been trying to get that going on for quite some time. I think now is the time to do that. Come out with cartoons. Come out like this is your time. This is a franchise. This is a world that should have been as big as and handled as well as like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. Like it should always have been around, and you can keep doing your own thing. I think because certain actors wanted to lock up certain parts of the franchise, it wasn't as easy to do that, and it sort of stalled out and didn't let the momentum go. I think now we're in a point, we've got it back, we got the keys back, we finally are back in that world. Now let's get the ball turning and just keep playing in this world. I think anybody who wears this and does all of that will be the better for it. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments about Ghostbusters Afterlife below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place. Podcasts, we're there. This week, we will be talking about, you guessed it, Ghostbusters Afterlife. In detail. We'll probably be a little bit spoilery, but like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.